Have you ever wondered what makes North Korea one of the most enigmatic countries in the world? This East Asian country, isolated and intriguing, stands as a unique entity on the global stage. Its enigma stems from its closed-off nature, strict regime, and a culture that's largely unfamiliar to the rest of the world. A key part of this puzzle lies in its legal system, which is unlike anything we've seen elsewhere. Much of this mystery revolves around its distinctive laws that baffle many outside observers. Did you know that North Korea has state-sanctioned hairstyles? Quite an unusual concept, isn't it? But in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, this is a reality. Citizens are not free to sport any hairstyle they fancy. Instead, they are required to choose from a limited set of government-approved hairstyles. Let's delve a little deeper into this peculiar law. The government has a catalog of precisely 28 approved hairstyles. For women, the options range from short bob cuts to medium-length styles, while men have to keep their hair under 2 inches, with older men getting a slight leeway to accommodate thinning hair. And guess what? None of these hairstyles include anything remotely resembling the spiked, dyed styles we see in the West. Now you might be wondering, why such a law? The reasoning behind this law is layered with cultural and political implications. North Korea's government claims that these laws are in place to resist the influence of decadent Western culture. The hairstyles are deemed to be more in line with socialist values, promoting simplicity and modesty. Moreover, these hairstyles are seen as a sign of loyalty and respect for the leaders and the country. In fact, North Korean men are often encouraged to emulate the hairstyle of their leader, Kim Jong-un, as a symbol of their allegiance. But the implications go beyond just showing respect. Non-compliance with this law could lead to serious consequences. Citizens found violating this law could face penalties, including public criticism sessions, where they are humiliated and shamed in front of their community. In some extreme cases, they could even face imprisonment. In essence, the law of hair in North Korea is a stark reminder of the control the government exerts over the personal lives of its citizens. It's a testament to the lengths the regime will go to maintain its ideals and influence over the population, so North Koreans have to wear their hair as a sign of respect to their leaders and country. It's a fascinating, albeit sobering insight into a society much different from ours. Imagine a world without religion. In North Korea, this is a reality. A concept hard to grasp for many, the absence of religious practice is a policy strictly enforced in the isolated nation of North Korea. Here, the law forbids the practice of any religion, a rule that might seem unimaginable in most parts of the globe where freedom of worship is a fundamental right. So, what's behind this unusual law? The reasons are deeply embedded in the nation's political ideology. North Korea's regime believes that religion can pose a threat to its authoritarian rule, as it could potentially inspire dissent and challenge the authority of the leadership. Instead, the regime promotes a form of political religion known as juche, an ideology centered around self-reliance and the veneration of the nation's leaders. The enforcement of this law is stringent, and the consequences for disobedience are severe. North Korea employs a myriad of tactics to suppress religious practices, from widespread surveillance and indoctrination to harsh punishments for those caught practicing religion. This includes imprisonment, forced labor, and in some extreme cases, public execution. It's a chilling reality that stands in stark contrast to the religious freedoms enjoyed by many around the world. But despite the prohibition, some North Koreans still manage to practice their faith in secret, risking severe punishment to maintain their spiritual beliefs. These clandestine practices are a testament to the human spirit's resilience and the profound importance of faith for many individuals. In North Korea, religion as we know it has been replaced by an unshakable faith in the leadership. Citizens are taught from a young age to venerate their leaders, almost to the point of deification. This, in many ways, has become their religion, a faith not in gods but in mortal men wielding absolute power. Thus, in North Korea, faith resides not in gods but in the leadership. It's a sobering reminder of the length some regimes will go to maintain control, and a stark contrast to the religious freedoms many of us take for granted. In the age of Netflix and YouTube, can you imagine life without foreign media? Well, in North Korea, this is not just a hypothetical question, but a reality. The North Korean government has a law that strictly prohibits the consumption of foreign media. No Hollywood movies, no international news broadcasts, not even a catchy K-pop song. Why such a law, you ask? The primary reason is control. The North Korean regime, under the leadership of Kim Jong-un, believes in maintaining a tight grip on the information that reaches its citizens. By banning foreign media, the government can control the narrative and shape the perceptions of its people. This law is part of a broader strategy to keep the populace insulated from outside influences and ideas that could potentially challenge the ruling regime's ideology. The implications of this law are far-reaching. For starters, it severely limits the exposure of North Koreans to the outside world. They grow up in a bubble, with their understanding of the world largely shaped by state-controlled media. This lack of exposure not only limits their worldview, but also contributes to a culture of fear and ignorance about foreign countries and cultures. However, despite the law, foreign media does find its way into the country, often smuggled in on USB drives or DVDs. These illicit materials are then secretly viewed by citizens, offering them a rare glimpse into the world beyond their borders. But the penalties for being caught are severe and can range from imprisonment to even execution. This law of no foreign media is not just about control, but also about preservation. The North Korean regime believes that foreign media could corrupt the traditional Korean culture and values, so by banning foreign media, they aim to preserve the purity of their culture and way of life. So in North Korea, the world outside is often an unknown mystery, a reality that is shaped not by personal experiences or exposure to different cultures, but by the narratives and ideologies of a single ruling regime. Ever heard of a crime that would punish your grandchildren? Well, in North Korea, such an unthinkable concept is a chilling reality. This is the law of 3 generations punishment, a draconian measure that extends retribution not just to the offender, but also to their immediate family and descendants spanning up to 3 generations. Now, you might be wondering, why so harsh? This law is rooted in a principle known as Yeonjwasha, a Confucian ideology that emphasizes collective responsibility and familial loyalty. The North Korean regime, adopting this ideology, asserts that the bad seed of a criminal can permeate through their lineage, thus justifying the punishment of 3 generations. Imagine a scenario where a single act of defiance against the state, perhaps as simple as listening to a foreign radio station, could lead to the punishment of your children and even your grandchildren. The severity of the punishment often depends on the perceived gravity of the crime. It could range from imprisonment to being sent to labor camps, where conditions are notoriously harsh and inhumane. What makes this law even more shocking is the absolute lack of due process. There are no trials, no defense attorneys, no appeals. Once accused, the fate of 3 generations is sealed. This law, while it may seem like a relic from a bygone era, continues to exist and be enforced today, striking fear into the hearts of North Koreans and serving as a potent tool for the regime to maintain control and suppress dissent. But, as we delve into the complexities of this law, it's important to remember that the people at the receiving end of this law are just like us, with hopes, dreams, and families. They, however, live under a system that is a world apart from what we know and understand. In North Korea, the sins of the father can indeed visit the sons. And the sons' sons. The shocking law of 3 generations. Punishment is a stark reminder of the realities faced by people living under one of the most secretive and repressive regimes in the world. Today, we've uncovered some of the most puzzling laws in North Korea. We've journeyed through a labyrinth of regulations that may seem unusual, even surreal to many of us. Let's recap our journey. We began with hair, a topic we'd hardly imagine could be subject to legislation. In North Korea, however, there are state-approved hairstyles, a concept that might boggle the mind of anyone who values personal freedom and individuality. Then, we moved on to the absence of religious freedom. In a world where most of us take the right to worship as we please for granted, North Korea stands as a stark contrast, with a law that prohibits practicing any religion. Next, we delved into the prohibition of foreign media, a law that effectively isolates the country from the rest of the world, cutting off a vital conduit of information, ideas, and perspectives. We concluded with the chilling law of 3 generations punishment, a law that extends the punishment for a crime to the offender's family up to 3 generations, a grim testament to the lengths to which control can be exerted. In the end, these laws serve as a window into the unique and often puzzling world of North Korea. They might seem bizarre to us, but they are a reality for the people subjected to them. It's a stark reminder of the diverse and sometimes perplexing world we live in.